name's Chef Carissa Jones. I'm a culinary arts pre-apprenticeship teacher at El Centro Junior Senior High School, and today we're going to be talking about ricotta cheese. A lot of people think that making ricotta or making any sort of cheese is a huge production, but this cheese is actually super simple, easy for kids of all ages to attack. So we're going to talk about our ingredients and we're going to talk about our equipment here for just a minute. We've got milk. Whole milk is preferable, although you can go as low as 2%. Heavy cream, this is your whipping cream or your heavy whipping cream. A little bit of salt, a little bit of vinegar. Then equipment, you're definitely going to need a pot. I have a butane burner, but normally I would do this right on the stove. Then over here we have a bowl with a strainer and some cheesecloth. This is going to be when we finish up cooking our cheese and pull it all together, we will need to strain it. So let's start by getting our burner on. Make sure the flame is on, we're good. Let's put our milk in. Now, no one wants cheese that tastes like milk. We actually want there to be a little bit of salt added in for a little bit extra flavor. So we're gonna put in a little bit of kosher salt. You could really use table salt, iodized salt. Sea salt is fun to play with. I'm just using kosher salt. We're gonna be heating this up to 180 degrees. If you do not heat it high enough, when we add our acid in, it's not going to break our mixture. So right now what we have is we actually have an emulsion. We've got the fat that's in the milk and the water that's in the milk that are together, and they're making a nice solid emulsion, which is milk, which we always drink. Now, in order to separate the two, we need to do two different things. One, we're going to use heat. Two, we're going to be adding in an acid. This is going to help break that emulsion and it's going to coagulate our protein together. In that process, we're actually going to be separating what's called the curds from the whey. The whey is going to be that milky portion. The curds are going to be that protein and the fat all mixed up together. Now, if you're lactose intolerant, this is kind of a fun activity because anytime you use an acid to make cheese, when the lactose actually stays behind in the whey. We don't eat the whey when we use an acid, we just eat the curds. So if you're lactose intolerant, this is a fun experiment for you to try. Right now we're getting close to our temperature. Definitely have a little thermometer. I got this fun one. It doesn't even use a battery. You just kind of give it a little shake and it gets going. But you can buy instant read thermometers at the grocery store or any restaurant supply store for about $5. So let's check our temperature. Okay, we're at about 120 degrees. Now there's three temperatures you always want to know. One is freezing temperature, 32 degrees. We don't have to worry about that one today. Then we have boiling temperature, 212 degrees. We're getting close to that at 180. And then body temperature, which is 98.6. So if I was to stick my finger in here at 180 degrees, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot to the point that I could burn myself. So don't do that. But we're not going to get all the way to boiling, just 180. If we don't get up to 180, like I said earlier, our emulsion won't break, and we want to make sure that we break that emulsion so that we can separate our curds from our whey. So I'm going to scoop this off to the side. I actually have a batch that I made a little bit ago. Let's check that temperature. Okay. We are just at 180. I'm going to add in my vinegar and then give it a little stir around. Oh, you can already see it breaking. You can kind of see it looks a little clumpy and a little chunky. And even when I pull my spoon up, those are all of the curds that are sticking to the spoon and the whey is left behind. If I was to stir this a lot, those curds are going to wind up smaller. If I leave it alone, the curds are going to wind up being thicker. Normally I would let this sit for about 10 minutes so we can all come together. But I'm going to strain it so that we can very clearly see our curds from our whey. Set that off to the side. and you can already see everything separating out. What's going to be left behind is our curds, and the bottom of the bowl is our whey. And right here I have a batch that I made earlier. See how thick and creamy that is? Now, a lot of people just think about ricotta in terms of lasagna, but there's lots of things that you can use this nice, fresh, creamy ricotta for, and I've got a few samples to share with you. I have some English muffin with some blackberries, blueberries, a little bit of honey, and some toasted almonds. I also have a ricotta cake, perfect with a little bit of lemon and some fresh strawberries. And then last but not least, I have some caprese crostini. Crostini are just little slices of bread that have been toasted up. We have the ricotta cheese, some basil, and some tomato on there. So for all of the information related to making ricotta, including the recipe, some of our terminology that we use today, some activities around that, an introduction to scientific method and how you can turn ricotta cheese into your own food science experiment, you can find all of these teacher, parent, and student resources available on scoe.net/cooking. Thank you very much for joining us today.